About the session format. This session today is all about the problems of the circulatory system, blood pressure and cholesterol, dealing with it in the natural way, and we'll also cover heart attack. So it is conducted by Dr. Prashanti. I'll introduce her shortly. So we will be talking about natural healing stories and the most important aspect for which probably you all are here today, how not to get a heart attack, keep your heart fit and healthy for long, cholesterol and BP. We will introduce to you the recorded program we have by Dr. Prashanti. It's about nutrition and lifestyle correction. It's an e-learning program. And then we'll have an open house where you're welcome to ask any questions to Dr. Prashanti. Okay, so a little bit about our heart, right? So we all know that our heart is a very important organ of our body, but did you also know some of these interesting facts? It's just the size of your fist, but it does a great deal of work. It beats 115,000 times a day. And you would be interested to know that the male heartbeat is 70 to 72 times per minute, but the female heartbeat is slightly higher. It is 78 to 82 heartbeats per minute. We have a long, blood vessels in our body, almost stretching to 97,000 kilometers. And the heart starts beating 4 weeks after conception, and it never stops. It beats as long as you are alive. And did you know that your body can have a natural bypass in case there is a real threat to the circulatory system and your blood vessels are clogged? The heart can always create collateral blood vessels, and it has the ability to create a natural bypass. So just a few amazing facts about the heart. So let's come to the reality today. Heart disease has always been the top in terms of the diseases, but today we see the sad reality that it is happening in many youngsters, and it's happening, earlier it was only in the older population, but now we see that it is happening even in youngsters. It is the number one cause of mortality in India, and it is 272 per 100,000 people as compared to the global averages of 235. That means that it is much higher in India. And the top 4 heart diseases you can see, right? So you can see that heart diseases take almost 34% of the pie chart here, as per the Times of India report of September 2019. Heart disease has really come to the forefront in the past year and a half, especially during the COVID times, where we saw many celebrities succumbing to this disease, a lot of near and dear ones losing their health and even life to this disease, and it has been in the news, right, for a lot of wrong reasons. So I think that today, being the World Heart Day, this is brought into a great deal of significance, and it is not only important now for us at this age to learn about heart health, but we have to bring this education and awareness even to the younger population. Briefly, to talk about the causes of heart disease, Dr. Prashanti will go into more detail of this, but the lower consumption of fruits and vegetables, especially in raw form, right? This is one of the main problems when it comes to nutrition. As Indians, we cook almost all our food and drown them in a lot of masalas. And even if we eat vegetables, it's after a lot of cooking. Fruits are hardly eaten more as a snack. So this is one of the primary reasons for heart health problems. Also, eating out and ordering in both have become very common, especially after the lockdown times. And this is seen more in cities with probably both the parents working, and there is often not enough time to plan and cook healthy meals. Influx of processed foods high in salt and fats. This has become very convenient and very easy. So a lot of youngsters today are also eating this processed foods. So heart disease is developing early in life. Stress and sedentary lifestyle. It's really a misfortune that most people living in cities do not have access to fresh open spaces, and they cannot spend time in nature, and most of the time the work is sedentary, so it's all just walking inside the house. Contributing to this is also the high stress lifestyle we need, the unhealthy living condition, especially the pollution levels in cities today, and added to this our own pollution which we are causing to our body by the high use of tobacco. So all these factors in short contribute to heart disease. There is never a single cause of heart disease. All these factors put together has brought in this kind of health condition across all demographics today. So let's focus on a story of hope, right? So here is a quote by a very famous doctor, Dr. Calwell Esselstyn. You may have heard about him. So he says that actually coronary artery disease is a toothless paper tiger that need never ever exist. And even if it does exist, it need never ever progress. You may be surprised to know that the countries listed here, right? They have a very low incidence of heart disease. So this shows that obviously we are doing something wrong, and heart disease is not inevitable, and it is not inevitable as you grow older. The common thread, Dr. Esselstyn says, is that they all thrive on a whole food, plant based nutrition. So actually, he took 20 people as part of his work who were in advanced stage of heart disease. They were all told that they have very few years to live. And he and his wife taught these 20 people how to cook food using whole food plant-based principles. He monitored their progress, and over a period of, he observed them over a period of a very long time, 18 years, and except for two people who dropped out of the program, all these people actually thrived and they were able to reverse their heart condition. So this shows that once we take control of our own health, it is possible that we can reverse this so-called irreversible heart conditions. A similar story of hope also comes from Dr. Dean Ornish. He showed also that heart disease is not an inevitable outcome of aging or heredity, and it can be prevented and reversed with a whole food plant-based diet. We have several stories on Wellcure which exactly show how this is possible. We have people from diverse health backgrounds, from different kinds of ages, who were able to reverse their cholesterol, BP, and heart problems, and they were able to come off medication. We encourage you to go to our website and read all these inspiring health stories, and you will understand how they did it. So there are more stories in this page. Thyroid, BP, diabetes, whatever is the health condition, they were able to take care and take control of their own health. So now let's come into the actual program. It's about cholesterol and blood pressure. It's about nutrition and lifestyle correction, which is needed to take control of these health conditions and heal yourself. It is conducted by Dr. Prashanti Atluri. So a brief introduction about her. Dr. Prashanti is a cardiovascular disease specialist. She lives in New Orleans, Louisiana, US. She has 18 plus years of experience in internal medicine and cardiology, and she is one of those rare doctors who has married allopathy with nature cure principles. She herself lives this lifestyle, and she believes that diet and lifestyle play a key role in reversing and preventing heart diseases. She encourages her patients to integrate a natural lifestyle to attain optimum health. So over to you, Prashanti.
Hi, everybody. So Asha, thank you so much for the introduction. And I'm glad to see a big group of people who are interested in knowing what is heart disease and how to reverse high blood pressure and cholesterol, which lead to worsening of heart disease. The program that Wellcure has put together is very, I really love the way they have put it together. This is my third time doing their program. And a lot of folks who took who came to our classes, who came to our sessions, they are really thriving very well on the kind of diet and the lifestyle that we suggested to them. And a lot of them were able to get off of their medications. They're symptom free now. Blood pressure is within control. I mean, they're seeing a lot of positive outcomes. So I hope you take some time to watch these videos that we are going to put together for you, as well as go through the program and then come back with more questions. I believe most of this heart disease, whatever we have right now in the form of coronary artery disease, heart failure, high blood pressure, cholesterol, all these things that we've been heavily medicating for are really they can be reversed using simple dietary changes as well as lifestyle adjustments in the form of like just applying all elements of nature. So I hope you guys find this interesting as well as useful. So I'm going to start this one by just starting out with few basic questions, which most of us go through every day because we are caring for our loved ones or we ourselves have issues with our health. So what whole food, plant-based and lifestyle correction do to heart health? So these are real life cases. I see them in and out every day because at work, that's what I do for a living, as well as even in my family circle too. So case one, a 70-year-old gentleman who has recently undergone bypass surgery. He still has on and off episodes of chest pain with minimal activity and blood pressure is not well controlled. His doctor, he went to visit his doctor because of his complaints. His doctor said, I'm going to increase your medications for blood pressure and told him to consider a low salt diet. But he didn't know what low salt diet was. So that means, was it like eating idli with some little bit of low salt chutney? Does count as a low salt diet? Or what does low salt diet mean to him? He didn't know what it was. So he was confused, but his issues never improved, even though he went up on his medications. So he approached his whole food plant diet expert and he quit all animal products, all kinds of processed foods and oils, and increased his raw intake. Started with only fruit for breakfast. Gradually, he was able to walk more blocks. His blood pressure stabilized, and gradually his blood pressure medications were tapered off. He lost about 20 pounds in the first 6 months, and he's feeling a whole lot better. Everything just with minimal changes in his diet and little bit of education, he was able to do it. He got off majority of his medications and he's feeling a whole lot better. If he had done this like 20 years ago, he may not even have needed a bypass surgery. That's how effective diet and natural regimen is in when it comes to coronary artery disease, high blood pressure, and cholesterol. Case 2. This is a typical scenario you guys encounter all the time. This is a 38-year-old young techie. He's like work stressed out. Recently checked his blood pressure at a health fair that's conducted at his workplace. His blood pressure was around 180/90 at that time, and he checked it few times following the week. In that following week, at home multiple times, but still his blood pressure was in the range of top number. Systolic was around 180/160 with a diastolic around 70/80. So he didn't want to be on medications because he knows about the side effects of medications, and his dad was a dialysis patient. So he was very worried that he was going to end up with some sort of a health problem, like organ failure or something in the near future. So he enrolled, his wife did some research, and he enrolled in whole food plant-based diet program, similar to what Wellcure offers. And he quit all processed food, increased his raw intake, and started maintaining a strict gap of 14 to 16 hours between his last meal of the day and the first meal of the next day. So he was practicing a decent amount of intermittent fasting. So his blood pressure improved drastically, and his weight dropped by 10 to 15 pounds in 6 months. He didn't have to take any medications. Now I know him personally, so I'm going to tell you. Now he's very much like wherever he meets anyone with high blood pressure issues or any other heart problems, he's the first person to go and tell them about his journey and how he has changed. He's not on any medications. His blood pressure has dropped significantly, and he's embracing all the elements of nature cures, and he's doing very well because he learned his lesson after he saw his dad struggle through his dialysis sessions when he was put on dialysis. Next one. So what is it that leads to these high blood pressure issues? So most of the times it's a high blood pressure. So how are we even diagnosed with coronary artery disease? Let's see. So initially when we are around 30 or 40, we get diagnosed with high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and some of us will end up with some diabetes. And then later we were put on medications, like 3 or 4 different medications. And then as time progresses, what happens is, then the coronary artery disease built up and everything happens. And then they say, you need a stent. We're going to put you on more higher doses of medications, more number of days and that. And then as time goes on, we end up with a bypass surgery or heart failure. But at this point, even at the age of 30 and 40, when we were put on medications, especially allopathic medications, without treating the main issue that led the patient to high blood pressure and all those things, we're not addressing anything that's causing all these problems. So what does Nature Cures or natural hygiene explain to us about what happens is, most of this is toxin built up because of our lifestyle. Since birth, since the stage of conception, we always had issues, like we were always on a salty diet, we weren't eating well. As Asha mentioned, fruit is more like a snack rather than a meal. So all these things tend to build up toxins in the system. Toxins are from our habits, from our diet, from pollution around us, as well as from just the internal breakdown of cellular material. So body needs some time to clean these toxins. But most of the time, what we do is we never give a chance to clean up these toxins, and we keep pouring in more and more toxins. At this point, instead of cleaning up, we don't declutter our bodies, and then it just piles up. It's almost similar to our homes, when we just don't clean up, but we just keep on buying new stuff. At some point, all the closets will be filled, all the rooms will be filled, and we won't have any room. So that's what happens in the system too. Toxins everywhere. So that's what leads to the body reacts by building up high blood pressure and cholesterol. Now, so unhealthy lifestyle builds toxins. So that's what the whole thing is. We need to manage it in such a way that we give body a chance to let these toxins out. Toxemia manifests as disease. Toxemia is the underlying root cause. The body just tells us, there is toxin built up. That's why I'm having high blood pressure, cholesterol issues. So instead of treating high blood pressure and cholesterol, we need to look at where they're coming from, and the toxins need to be cleaned up. So body's defense mechanism works best in a clean environment. So and just like anything, we need a cleaner environment. Otherwise, the system is always supposed to is going to change itself. It's going to manifest in a different form of disease or something or the other. The body always is self-healing, given enough amount of time and space, rather than dumping more and more toxins in the form of food or medicines or anything. Leave the body alone for some time, and it will clean up and it will help you feel better. So it's self-healing and it's self-maintaining with the right kind of inputs in the form of fresh air, water, right foods. So everything has to do with what we do to our body. Disease is built up within us. It doesn't come from anywhere else. It's not the germs, it's not the genes, it's us. We are the ones who are creating disease within our body. So at this point, it's lifestyle is the one that really matters the most. And there is nothing that can replace lifestyle, no matter how much of a huge amount of money you want to spend on some sort of an allopathic treatment, or in a biggest hub, a big 5-star hospital or something like that. Nothing. Money cannot buy it. It's just us, thinking for ourselves and doing the right things for the body. That's the way how you build up health. Next slide. So we just have a question for you. Since I just talked to you, I want all the participants to be engaged. So let's see how much you understood about toxemia. So I just went over the toxemia slide with you. So how do you see and perceive toxemia? Toxemia is nothing but accumulation of toxins in the body from regular wear and tear, from just living, modern stressful lifestyle, and complex eating habits. Number 2, gutters in cities filled with chemicals draining into pristine rivers. Number 3, factories letting out chemical fumes into fresh air. Number 4, all of the above. So toxemia, let's define toxemia. Anybody want to answer? Number 4, yes, Shilpi, you're right. So everything, whatever you do, yeah. So yeah, I'm so glad you guys are participating in this and paying attention. So toxemia is the one. So how do we stop toxemia? That's the number 1 thing, is stop bringing in toxins. So that's how we do it, rather than cleaning up later on. Prevention is always better than, treating any of these things or taking care of them at the root level. Next slide. So what is blood pressure? So blood pressure is the one that's, we all know, right? It's a pressure in the system, in the closed vascular system. From the heart, it pumps up to the capillaries so that the tissues get enough amount of oxygenation as well as nutrients. So this blood pressure varies from person to person. Since we are born to until we age, it depends upon different levels of, different cultures have different kind of blood pressure. Men and women have different blood pressure. Children have different blood pressure. So there is not one particular number that we're going to hang our head on and say this is high, this is low, but it has to be dependent upon different kinds of things. Thin person will have a different blood pressure. A little obese person will have a different blood pressure during the different parts of the day. During daytime, it's kind of lower, and then as it builds up, it kind of goes up. So it all depends upon the steroid levels, the stress levels, anxiety that we have. Stimulants like coffee and tea or Coke, they will make your blood pressure go up. And so it has so many things that it's one thing that we just measure it, but then we have to look at many other causes before we label somebody as hypertensive. So blood pressure is body self-regulates blood pressure. So whenever body perceives that there is a lot of toxin that's built up, so what happens is our blood vessels have to be like pristine rivers. They have to be flowing, free flowing with fresh water and no sludge or anything. Then you imagine like a gutter or a city, the river that's flowing through a city that's dumped with chemicals, with all kinds of plastic trash. What happens? It's kind of becomes very sluggish in flow. It's the same thing. What happens is there's a lot of toxins that are built up in the blood. So the blood is not able to move as fast. So in order for it to be pumped well, blood pressure raises up. So you see, blood pressure raises up because the body perceives toxins and the sludge that's there. So instead of removing the sludge and then the toxins in the system, in the blood, what we do is we kind of treat the blood pressure with medication, even though we don't address the sludge. That's the main issue. So it's different in different parts of the body, different times of the day, as I mentioned, and also situations too. Stress, anxiety makes your blood pressure go up. We all know that. So toxemia leads to increased blood pressure or low blood pressure, depends upon each character of the person, but it's all anything. It has to do with, we don't medicate. We shouldn't be medicating high or low blood pressure, but we have to address the root cause of the blood pressure. So how many of you in this program know are taking, or your loved ones are taking high blood pressure medications? It's like a few $billion industry. I even forgot how many billions of dollars they are making just by selling blood pressure medications. But I mean, every other person we know is already taking a high blood pressure medication. So yeah, let me know. If anybody know anyone with high blood pressure medication. Yeah, so a lot of my family members, yes, a lot of it. It's just a common thing. Oh, your blood pressure is high, we're going to put you on a blood pressure medication, and then nothing is addressed. So next slide, please. So again, same thing, cholesterol medications. Cholesterol has become a fancy word since 1996, since when they found these new cholesterol medications, and then, the statin medications that came in, and then there are like 10 different statin medications that I know. There are some still in the market, some have been recalled because of different amounts of toxicity. But never ever did we look at why we are having high cholesterol issues other than just keep on medicating just blindly. Cholesterol medications have tons of side effects, from dementia, loss of memory, to liver problems, to muscle aches, to joint pains. They are pretty much like chemotherapy drugs. That's what I call them, and I don't like them at all. But unfortunately, there are patients who ended up taking them. There are different kinds of sets of patients, but we don't not, and we should not be using cholesterol medication as a first resort without addressing what's going on. So first of all, let's try to understand what is cholesterol. Cholesterol is nothing but the waxy, fatty material that's kind of produced by the body in order to neutralize toxemia. So toxins are nothing but the acids that are built up in a system. So cholesterol is more like a base-like substance. So it goes and interacts. So it's an alkali, it's a base, and acid. They both interact. So it's a neutralizing. It's a neutralizing compound. So in order to remove acids from the system. So whenever it neutralizes this material, the waxy material that's formed, it kind of like body just deposits in various areas of the body, like, in the blood vessels, some other corners, in order to just remove the toxins from the system. So just body doesn't really realize where it's depositing, but it just takes it and puts it away in a corner so that it thinks it's not going to interfere with it, or at some point it will deal with it later when the body gets a break. So it's made in the liver. It's mainly comes from, it comes from animal products too. No plant products have cholesterol in them. It's only animals that have cholesterol in them. So the liver secretes cholesterol. It's a neutralizing agent. It's acid-base reaction, and then it goes in. So once the cholesterol goes in there, then body slowly builds up calcium over it. Some platelets go over it. It kind of like a cementing thing that body just puts it away at some point. So toxemia is the root cause of disturbed cholesterol levels. So we don't, whenever like people from Wellcure or people who seek consultation with me, they send me these big cholesterol profile numbers and asking me, why is this low? Why is this high? Why is this? How can I make it look normal? We address toxemia, and then as the toxemia is reduced, that's when you make your numbers look prettier. But you don't medicate in order to make your lipid profiles prettier or to come to the levels that you want them to come to. That's not how it works, because you are not taking care of the underlying process. So once you make the numbers look prettier, what you think is you took care of it, but you did not address the root cause of acids and toxin buildup. So they're still being produced in the body, and then the body is still suffering. That's what I said. So usually this is how I explain to everybody. Stage A is when you have some sort of a high blood pressure, high cholesterol problem. Then you medicate it. Then it leads to stage B, which is like coronary artery disease or some other issues. Then it leads to stage C, which is like some other heart failure, organ failures. And then at the end, stage D is death. In this process, multiple medications are used, but we never ever halt the progression from stage A to B to C to D, because that's how it works, because you never address toxemia. So I don't know how many physicians of you that you have seen would ever talk to you about like strictly addressing your lifestyle rather than putting you on a medication. But medications are not the answer to these problems that we have right now. So so next slide. When a person says, so let's see how much you understood based on these 3 slides that I presented just now. When a person says they have diabetes, high blood pressure, thyroid, high cholesterol, and coronary artery disease, etc., what does that mean? This is typical. Like everybody, like once they pass age of 45 and 50, they have this diagnosis, as well as they have been put on these medications. So toxemia from modern lifestyle. They have huge issue with one particular organ, and rest of the body is fine. Just take the pill for the disease and forget that you have a disease. It's just hereditary. It's the genes. They can't do much about it. We are sorry. D, they should forever take those pills. So let's analyze this one, because B, C, and D is how we are approaching disease at this point these days, right? They say, oh, we have a huge issue with one particular organ. So your pancreas is not working or something, your thyroid is not working. And let's put you on those medications and forget about the rest of the body. That's how we've been treating most of the patients. Or we say we blame it on the genes all the time and say, oh, your mother had it, your dad had it, and you are also going to have it. That's not how it works. Toxemia is ours. So we are the ones who manifested it and who are the ones who need to take care of it. And then they should forever take those pills. No, pills are not forever, and we should never start anybody on pills for this kind of chronic conditions. So this is how we need to approach it. So address the root cause. So heart attacks are not sudden. So there again, disease is built up. Disease doesn't happen suddenly. Toxin accumulation happens over time, since the time of conception, even before the time of conception. So over time, if there is no way out for the toxins, they build up. Circulating blood carries these toxins to all parts of the body, causing injury and inflammation. So that's what is coronary artery disease is. Many warning signs along the way in the form of high blood pressure, high cholesterol, chest pains. Multiple things happen. Body keeps warning us, and we keep ignoring, and we keep walking past each warning sign. And at one point, it ends up in some organ failure or some really deadly condition. At that point, there is the path to reversal is there, but we need to really work very hard in order to reverse it. Symptomatic treatment without correcting causes creates progression. Same thing, like how I said, hypertension is addressed, cholesterol is addressed, but never the lifestyle was ever addressed in any of the primary care visits. And that needs to be really be corrected as soon as possible. Next slide. So if you have following, so anything these colors. So I see like this has become basic bread and butter of every primary care visit: high blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes, thyroid. So you need to learn more about these things rather than fearing the disease. I think education is the key. So if you know what causes blood pressure fluctuations and high cholesterol, this program that we have put together for you is very well done. It's like a 4-hour course. So you can do it at your own pace. You can always rewind and take notes and do all of it. So that it addresses, can I save my loved ones and myself from any of these high blood pressure, cholesterol issues? Can these be cured too? And then can we become medicine-free and disease-free by strictly following lifestyle? How can I do so are being going to be addressed with the diet program that we have put together is excellent, and also how to use natural elements in keeping ourselves in order to how to clean up from toxemia is also addressed in these 4-hour lectures. And then we help you with a diet, how like a good sleep, and then rest. How do I fit them in all my routine? So all these things are going to be clarified in the 4-hour session that we have pre-recorded session that we have put together for you. I hope everybody goes through them, takes some notes, asks questions, and we are here to help you guys. And the program is excellent, one of the best that I have seen that has been put together. So I want everybody to be medicine free and take care